Hi everyone, this is Samantha from the Dancing Soap Dish. Happy New Year. This is our first tutorial for 2023. And today we're making these beautiful winter silhouettes soap bars. So as you can see, they've got gorgeous snow scenes on them. I've also given them a dark blue background with some glitter in them to emulate the night sky, starry sky. And I think they're pretty gorgeous, and today I'm going to show you how to make them. So as per usual, everything you need to know is in a written tutorial on the Dancing Soap Dish website, and I've also got some details about where you can find some supplies in the description of this video. I had a bit of trouble with these. I nearly had to make them again. If you keep watching, you'll see why, but I managed to save them in the end, so that's good. Learned a lesson or two maybe. But yeah, let's get started making these. Let's see how we go. So take a look at these. These are resin ornament molds. I bought them last Christmas. I think they're pretty gorgeous, but I ran out of time to make soap with them. You'll probably recognize this one from the stamped nativity ornament that I did. But like I said, I ran out of time before Christmas, and Christmas is over now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the winter themed ones. I'll take away the Christmassy ones because it's still winter in the Northern Hemisphere. So I will do a winter project with them instead. I wanted to use these to make soap. I wanted to use the mould as an embed mould, but every time I tried to take the soap out, especially out of these little crevices here, it would break. So I couldn't make an embed mould. So I put my thinking cap on, and I thought if I could make the mould deeper, then I'd be able to get it out without breaking the little bits off. So I went to trusty old paper cups. You know I love using paper cups in my soap making. And I'm going to use the paper cup to make the mould deeper so that I can get the bar of soap out without the little bits breaking off. So in order to do that, just take a strip of paper. This is just recycled paper. See, it's got writing on the back, doesn't matter. I'm going to cut a strip off the length of this sheet of paper, just with a pair of scissors. I don't need to measure it. It's about, 1.5 centimeters, 1/4 inch, whatever. I've got some sticky tape as well. Now I'm going to put this strip of paper around the circumference of my mould, and I'm also taking care to use the nice flat side, not the wonky side that I cut. So putting the nice flat side down inside the cavity of the mould and just curling the paper around the edge, around the circumference of the mould cavity. It can be a little bit tricky, but with a bit of patience you can get there. There we go, just making sure that it's sitting flush around the edge. There we go, I'll show you there. Sitting pretty flush. Push that there. And just take a piece of tape. I'm going to tape that together. Here we go. Just hold that in there as I tape, and then I can pick it up and just finish taping that together. I've got this little loose strip here. That's not an issue. I'm just going to snip that off, and I'll tape that down as well. And this will give me a ring of paper, a paper template, if you will, that I can use to measure and cut my paper cup to size. So there we go. I'm just going to double check that it fits, because you don't want to go to all the trouble of cutting your paper cup only to find out that it doesn't fit. It's a little tricky to get in here just because the tape has made one part of it a little bit rigid, but I can see here that it fits exact, which is what I was hoping. All right, now I can take the template, put it over a paper cup. Again, I'm using the nice straight side at the top. I'm going to push it up as far as it can go, not too far, but it's nice and snug. I'm also going to make sure, I'm just eyeballing it, but I'm going to make sure that it looks like it's parallel to the rim of the cup and nice and level. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Okay, take a pencil and just draw a line along the top of the template all the way around. There we go. Pull that off. And now I need to cut my paper cup to size. So what I find is easiest to do is just to take a retractable craft knife. I'm not going to try and cut along the line because it's really hard to do that accurately. So I'm going to cut as close to the line as I dare, because I also cut pretty wonky. I'll just keep going around. I'm trying not to distort the shape of the cup as I cut as well. Here we go. So I've cut that off. It's a pretty rough job. I'm going to put that cup away for later. I'll be able to use that later in this project. Okay, so now I have this little ring here that I need to tidy up. So I'm going to use a pair of scissors because I find I can cut, more accurately with those. It's a bit tricky if you're right-handed, but if you just sort of ease in at an angle, you can find the line and then cut quite accurately along it. Slow and steady wins the race. Here we go. Now this is working quite well. Just snip this last little bit off. Okay, sorry, I did that really slow, but I'm just trying to be really accurate. Don't need that. Okay, so now I have a ring that theoretically should fit perfectly inside this mold. So I'm going to give it a try. Give it a bit of a wiggle. There we go. That's perfect. And as you can see, there might be a little bit of leakage around the edge, but when I do my first layer of soap in the sort of the little embedded area, it'll create a seal around it so it won't leak when I pour the blue on top. Okay, so now I just need to do the rest of my molds. Here's some paper rings I prepared earlier. As you can see, they all fit quite snug. Here we go, push that in there. And once I've got this done, I've altered my molds, I've made them deeper, and I'm ready to fill them with some soap. Oh, what I also will do, I'll let you know, is I'm just lining up the inside seam of the paper cup with the top of the mold. Just so sometimes the seam does show a little bit, so I'm popping it out at the top, I'm lining it up with the little sort of hole that's in to hold the ornament, which also we won't have, that'll be cut off. And I suggest you guys do the same. Okay, so I've put my molds on a paper lined tray just for easy transport and for catching any drips. I'm also going to use this little glass measuring cup that baristas use for hot milk. Oh, so good for soap making. I just love them. I've got my isopropyl alcohol, an absolute must, and I'm also just going to keep on hand this little scraper here. I might use it, I might not, but I'll just keep it here just in case. It could come in handy to push some soap into molds. Okay, so time to measure out some soap. I have my kitchen scales. I'm going to measure out white soap base, 70 grams, which is about 2.5 ounces. Here we go. Then I'm going to pop it in the microwave to partly melt, and then I'll melt the rest of it on a double boiler just to make sure it's nice and hot and fluid. Okay, so I'll pop that in the microwave. There we go. Okay, so I've got my soap on a double boiler and I'm just getting everything else ready. Here we go. I'll bring it over. Oh, that handle is a bit hot for my liking. I'm just going to put on a rubber glove just to insulate my hand against the heat of the handle. It is a wooden handle, but it's just a bit hot because it's been sitting on the double boiler. Okay, I've got my isopropyl alcohol in one hand and I'm going to get started. I'm starting with this deer mold because it's got nice large cavities, really bold lines, not too many tiny ones, so it'll be easy to get this one out of the way first. I'm doing my best to be neat, but spills, are unavoidable, so I'm just being as neat as I can. I'll be able to clean them up later. I'll move on to this snowflake one because again it's got nice bold lines. There we go, just spraying as I go. It helps the soap move through the cavity and also breaks up any bubbles. Hopefully there won't be too many bubbles. Here we go. Make sure you get around the rim as well because I really need that soap to seal the cup to the silicone mold so that there's no leaks when I pour the rest of the bar. Okay, happy with those. Now I'm going to go on to these ones which have the finer details. I find it easier if you just pour the soap into the fine detailed areas first and then let that soap flow into the larger areas. So I'm just giving them a good spray to avoid bubbles as well. Here we go. You can see how that soap starts to move a little bit faster when I spray it with the alcohol. Doing my best here. Oh dear, I've poured a little bit too much in here. I'll be able to clean it up, but I really don't want too much more in this mold. There we go. Give it another spray. Again, with this one, pouring into these little snowflake areas first, giving them a spray, and then letting the soap flow into the larger areas. This one's coming out quite well. Okay, getting around the edge. Didn't make too much of a mess of that one, so I'm happy with that. Okay, last little bit. All right. Yep, just checking I've got all the areas. Looks pretty good. Okay, I said to keep the rest of that paper cup, and this is why. I'm just going to pour the leftover soap that I have into this paper cup so I can use it later. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that I have actually scented this soap. I scented it with Juniper berry essential oil, which I find is a really great wintry fragrance. All right, I'm setting these aside to set for an hour. Here they are an hour later. And there you go. You can see they've set solid. There is a little bit of leakage out the side. That's fine. My job now is to peel off all these little bits of overpours and excess that are sitting on top of the silicone here. They come off really easy because soap just doesn't stick to silicone. So I'm just using my fingernail at this stage just to get off these large bits. Okay, scrape this little bit off here. Yeah, so this might take a while. That's all right. I'll do this off camera. But as you can see, I'll just take my time. I didn't want to pour too much because then it makes it a bit harder. I will actually use my scraper for this. I didn't use it before, but here we go. I find it's quite easy just to scrape off large sections. There we go. That's coming off a lot easier now. And I think I'll probably also need it to do the thicker sections. So here, for example, it's a lot easier with this scraper here to just scrape these large sections off that need to be cleaned up. There we go. The soap sticks to itself, so it sticks quite easily to the bits that are in the mold cavity, and the shallower bits that are just stuck to the silicone come off quite easy. So there you go. This scraper really is helping this move a lot easier, which is good. It shouldn't take me too long at all. Okay, I'll bring them back and show you when they're nice and clean. Okay, so we're back. I've got this little pile of stuff here that I've peeled off, but they're looking pretty good, nice and neat. Oh, I also forgot to tell you that you need to check the rim of the paper cup. Make sure there's no drips on there, because otherwise that'll show up on your blue soap, so do that too. Okay, time for the next step. I'm going to use a combination of 90% clear, 10% white soap. I'm weighing out 200 grams because I want 450 gram bars here. Here we go. Just weighing that out. Nope, a bit too much. There we go. So this is 180 grams of the clear. And then I will use 20 grams of this soap that we poured into the cup. I'm just popping this out and I'm going to cut this up. There we go. I'll cut it into some little triangles. There we go. Okay, so that's another 20 grams. Also, yeah, we'll just chuck this in too. Make sure, you know, waste not, want not. There we go. And also, I'm thinking another cube just for wastage. There we go. All right, I'm going to pop that in the microwave. Okay, so I've scented this with Juniper berry also. I'm just giving it a good stir. As you can see, it's sort of a cloudy mix because it's mostly clear base with a little bit of white. Going to put in a very deep dark blue pigmented soap colouring because I want a beautiful night sky. I'll start with 3 drops, see how that goes. It's a beautiful blue, this. I love it. There we go. Nice and deep. Could possibly be a little bit darker. What do you think? Yeah, I might add a few more drops. Here we go. See how that goes. Yes, I'm really liking how that's looking now. Okay, I'm also going to add some glitter, some eco glitter. I don't add a lot. I just want enough for a starry sky. I'm just going to add, like, dip my skewer in for each soap bar that I have. So I'll dip my skewer into the soap first so it's wet, and then I'll dip it into the glitter and then just shake it off into the soap. I'm going to I'm going to dip it in once for every soap bar that I have, so 4 times. There we go. I'm not stirring it at this stage with the skewer. I'm actually just trying to shake off the glitter. I'll give it a good stir in a minute. And here's the last one. There we go. That should be all we need. Absolutely plenty. Because the glitter does tend to sink to the bottom, which is good because I want the stars to show up sort of behind the white snow silhouette. So, okay, I'm going to give that a good stir. Make sure that I've got plenty of glitter dispersed through there. Okay, I'm going to place my tray on this set of scales here because I need to weigh out my bars. There we go. Press tear, set it to 0. All right. Don't want it to take too much longer because my soap will start to harden. Here we go. So I'm going to put 50 grams into this. I'm not sure my scales are working actually. They don't seem to be moving. Here we go. We're getting close to the edge too. I'm not sure. That's 50-ish. See how that goes. Give it a spray with alcohol to get rid of those surface bubbles. Set my scale back to 0 and go with the next one. Another 50 grams in there. Oops, a little bit over, but that's okay. Give it a spray. Here we go again. And the last lot here. Yeah, okay, I've come up a little bit short. I did think my scale was doing funny things. Don't know what's going on there. Might need some new batteries. I'll scrape out as much of this as I can. But I do have a soap bar that has less in it than the other 3. I think my soap is still liquid enough that I might be able to just take a couple of spoonfuls out of the other molds and top up this last mold here. Especially this one. I'm not even sure how much is in that one. Scales did not work. There we go. Take a bit from this one. And yeah, maybe a bit more. And I'll take some from this one as well. There we go. Okay, I'm going to just give those another spray. I'm going to let these set overnight and I will come back tomorrow to show you how easily they will pop out. Okay, see you then. Okay, it's the next day. Here are my molds. They've set solid. It's really easy to get these off now. You just go around the mold, just easing it a little bit more each time. I don't want to peel it back in sort of one go because that could bend some of the bits off. So here we go. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? There is our reindeer winter silhouette. Very nice. Gotta be happy with that. All right, I believe this one is the snowflakes. So we'll go around again. Beautiful snowflakes. Yeah, love those. And this is the first one with the finer details. Look at that, that's amazing. As you can see, these really fine details came out. There's a bit of a hole there, but that's a bubble. That's all right. I'm really happy with that because I could not get those out of the mold without breaking them before. So there we go. And this very last one, I'm sure it will be just as successful. There we go. Ah, beautiful. That one is perfect. No bubbles in that one, and all of the tiny little bits intact. There we go. Okay, now you should just be able to pop this out of the paper cup. Why is this not working? Okay, this is giving me a bit of trouble. I've got my knife out. I'm just going to have to cut. I've never had this problem before. Normally they just pop straight out. Can't get this off. What is, oh man, what is going on? I have never had this happen before. The paper cup has stuck to the soap. That is, I've been using paper cups with my soap making for a really long time, and this is the first time that this has happened. And of course it's on camera. This one is doing the same thing. Oh my goodness. This one as well. Okay. It looks like this is just going to be a problem, yep, across all 4 bars. Unbelievable. Wow. Never had this issue before. Not sure what I'm going to do about this. I swear, guys, this did work. Look, this is the prototype that I made, and it just popped straight out. As you can see, the sides, there is absolutely no paper stuck to this one. It literally fell out of the cup after I'd taken the silicone mold off, whereas this one has got paper stuck to it. Now, I did use a different brand of paper cup for that one, but it's also paper cups I've used before, so I really don't know what happened there, but now we have to fix it. Okay, so we've got all this paper attached. If it's for personal use, that's fine. You can just jump in the shower. That paper will just melt off the first time you use the soap. It's not going to be an issue. But if you want to give it away, or if you want to take some photos of it like I do, you really don't want all this stuff stuck to it here. So I'm going to have to troubleshoot how to get this off, and then if this does happen to you in the future, you'll also know how to do it. Okay, so I'm just going to get a damp cloth, and I'm going to dampen all the paper. Just give it a rub. Make sure that the paper is sort of being dampened with the moisture from this damp cloth. And then I'm hoping that I should be able to, yeah, okay. So now I can just scrape it off quite easily with my fingernail. There we go. Okay, that should work. Just rub it a little bit more. Can I get this piece off here? Oh yeah, maybe a bit time consuming, but I should be able to get there. Okay, look, I've been able to pour this whole section off here. All right, that came off really easy. Okay, so you should be able to just rub the paper off your soap. But obviously the best thing to do is avoid this happening in the first place. Here you go. So testing your paper cup before you start your project is a good idea. Just pour some in and see if it will pop out. Also, if you do have cups where it doesn't pop out, you can just use a non-stick spray. Maybe spray the cup, wipe off any excess with a paper towel, and that should also help the soap pop out as well. So you don't have to go and buy a whole bunch of new paper cups. All right, there we go. That one is so much better. That was a little hiccup, but we've managed to fix it. Doesn't that look great? Okay, here they are. They are beautiful and amazing. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial for these Winter Silhouettes Melt and Pour soap bars. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you like what we do, and we'll see you next time. Thanks guys, bye.